In traditional harmful opinion style, I'm a month or more late. My understanding is an internal video used by Insomniac Games was leaked. I'm very late, but it's very enjoyable. Time for probably the most racist thing you'll see all week. Classic 2014 cringe. Authentic portrayals in popular media. You know, already I gotta say, it's so important. So important. When that freak doctor yelled, "I am a surgeon! I am a surgeon!" I felt like my autism was seen in a positive light for the first time. So, this is close to my heart.
Mainstream media is so powerful for people who are coming of age and
I'm already going to immediately pause again. Sorry to mess you around. All right? There's a very, very, very important word there. Mainstream media is very important for people who are coming of age. Why? Because that's where the money is. That's what's big. I think any media could potentially be important to an individual. Me, coming of age, all the media that meant something to me was very niche and also had nothing to do with it reflecting me. The media that meant a lot to me when I was coming of age was music that got me into music and wasn't just like a binky for me to go, I can be special, I can be special.
even younger folks, for them to see a representation of their own skin color, their own culture, their background on the big screen or on TV.
I find that the image that paints, every time it's said, it creates this demented image of self-idolatry. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe this is white privilege, but I've never looked at a big screen and been like, oh yeah, he's white like me. Whites are so good. I've never had that experience or desired that experience. Maybe other people need that. I don't need to see what I do and what I am on the screen because I am me. In fact, having a mirror in the house is almost too much representation of me.
I think it does tremendous things in terms of how they navigate the world.
That's bad. Honestly, if you're learning to navigate the world from what you see on the big screen, that's not good. To me, the response to that is, the kids are not okay. We need to break that connection. Not, they're being warped by the big screen. Let's make sure we warp them in the correct way. It should be, oh no, we need to get rid of this dependency. That's really bad.
Learn through what you're watching, what you're consuming, and it really informs your life in a lot of ways.
Sure, if I'm watching a video, an instructional video, I can learn things. To some degree, through art, you can learn about yourself through your reaction to what's presented. But we're talking about showing people a message, right? Representing reality and going, this is what reality is, this is what's real, this is what's true, and people absorbing that. This is a description of propaganda and propagandizing people, not people learning about themselves emotionally or whatever through art, right? It's not good to learn how to navigate the world through movies and shows. With few exceptions, unless we're talking about a kids show that's like, sharing is good, don't be a greedy cunt, that kind of stuff.
I would have come out sooner if there had been better portrayals of lesbians and queer people.
True, I too would have been a gay if I had watched just better gay cartoons. But I didn't watch Digimon, so that's the direction my life went.
There's very little representation of what really is going on.
People are unexposed to the way that we're raised, how we live, how...
People are unexposed to the way that we're raised?
People are unexposed to the way that we're raised, how we live, what we're confused about.
What is even being said? People are unexposed to the way that we're raised, how we live. Those two make me think that she's talking about people of other demographics don't see how her demographic is raised and lives. But then she says they're unexposed to things she's confused about, which makes it sound like she's talking about people don't see things they're confused about on TV. But based on how she was talking about it prior, it makes it sound like she's saying people are not exposed to things my demographic is confused about. Like, bizarre fucking blender of a statement, set of statements.
It's very important that the media portrays Puerto Rican or Latino culture accurately.
Tell me why, Andy Worski. Tell me why. Is there a culture it's not very important to portray? Is it important to portray the tribes of Sulawesi in American sitcoms? If not, why not?
Because people or communities that don't have any exposure to that culture or that medium, that's going to be the only experience they base what they know on that culture.
Again, if people are looking at a show and going, yes, I know how all Latino people are, the problem isn't what's in the show. The problem is that people are doing that with any form of representation. That people will see a Latino character and go, this is my instruction manual on how all Latin people are. Destroy that. Get rid of that. That's bad. It's bad that people do that. You should get rid of that. Not, I will show them the right image that they should believe all Latino people are like. No, what?
If we do have like a positive portrayal in the show, it's not authentic.
Don't say that, bro. I understand what he's saying. I understand, and I will assume that what he means is the character is doing white success, is being a white character, but with black skin or something like that. But when you say, hey, if someone of my race is shown as being successful, that's inauthentic. Doesn't sound good.
It's like comfortable for other viewers instead of it being authentic. So
I feel like The Farewell was a really good example of delving into actual
Farewell is good, okay.
nuanced Asian experiences. Awkwafina is this Asian American immigrant going back to her family in China. It just wasn't concerned with like what white audiences were thinking. It was just for...
It's a video, it's not concerned with anything. The writers and producers could not be, but they can't psychically, magically imbue what's created with an inability to connect to white people and the ability to connect to Asian people.
us, you know, it wasn't like doing something for white audiences, really.
You can't stop it from doing something for white audiences. You can't stop it from doing that. They're going to interpret it differently, but it might have a different effect. Sorry, rather, it might have a different effect, but can still have an effect and do something for them. It's not going to just not connect with them. What is being described here?
I recently watched Into the Spider-Verse, so the guy, Miles, the main character, he was a mixture of black and Spanish.
Being the hero for once, being the main character for once, that is even, you know, part African-American, that is black. Miles Morales matters to me because
any form of saying Spider-Man matters to me? I don't know, dude. If you're not 8 years old, I don't know what to say. I'm not gonna not laugh. I'm sorry.
he showed my little brother that we can be in these positions.
It showed your little brother that you can get bitten by a spider and become all fucked up and weird and swing around? Sorry, wait a second. Spider-Man showed my little brother that he can swing from building to building like he's swinging from branch to branch on a tree. When you like present it like this, I don't know, that sounds kind of fucked up, in my opinion.
We can be strong and depict it positively.
Guardrails. Don't make their identity the focal point of the character's storyline. Right. I feel like there's an immense challenge here. There are lots of issues. People who are like, I want rep, kind of do want that a lot of the time. But also, how are they going to tick all the boxes of representing an entire culture and demographic without having that be a focal point of the character's storyline? How are you going to cram all that in the periphery and make sure, because it's been shown to us that this is about educating an audience about what the truth of an entire demographic is. How are you going to get that across accurately just through the periphery of a character's presence in a show or movie? You're not. It's insane to try, perhaps you might even say. True, it's for game devs, in a game, or rather in a game's storyline, but they're also talking about other sorts of media.
You don't have to talk about how this person's Asian or Korean all the time. Like, that just makes it that their sole identity. You know, Steven Yeun in Walking Dead, like, they didn't really talk about him being Asian. He's just like a person, and that's why.
Sure, yes, that didn't happen. Did I get any element of Korean culture or Korean American culture from his character in The Walking Dead? He was just a dude, though. So is he a good example? Watching The Walking Dead, I didn't look at him and say, oh, so this is what Koreans are like, which I guess I'm meant to do based on the earlier part of this video. So he's not good as representation. He's just a character who happens to be Asian.
I also appreciated his role there.
It's always a little frustrating when characters' storylines completely only have to do with like being gay, and like maybe that means they're only getting like romantic relationship storylines, and like those are great, I love those, but it's like there needs to be a little more.
It would be silly for a character to just totally.
What's an example? Porn? I don't know. I can't think of any game I've played where the game is just be gay, except Dream Daddy, maybe? Are there movies where the story is just this person is gay, they do gay things?
Be like separated from their queer identity, but at the same time, I think it's important to have a character who has a plot line and struggles and issues and drama separate from their queer identity. Because if it's just all about their queer identity, then you're also pigeonholing them.
Okay, what incredible insight. I don't think we're gonna get this video is real bad. If I worked at this studio and this was shown to me, I would go home and have a fucking panic attack, feeling like if I was a writer for them, I would be like, holy shit, they've shown me what's important to not be a racist at work. How the fuck do I tick all these boxes? I have to present an entire culture in the form of a character, but also not have it feel like I'm focusing solely on that element of their identity. Holy fuck! How do you do this?
If you're not African American.
If you're not African American, she's licking her lips ready to say the next line. What is it? If you're not African American,
you're not gonna understand truly how we feel, and unless you are experiencing our struggles.
It's not the most horrible thing you can say. I personally go way further than that. I think any two individuals, you're going to have trouble being sure that you feel exactly the same. I think it's a bit of an assumption, bit of a large assumption to say that necessarily every black person will understand each other's understanding as well. I think by suggesting all black people can do that, implying all black people can do that, actually being too broad. Okay. However, why would you just show us that clip? Isn't that clip just like, okay, don't look at media with people of different races in it? Which I guess is consistent! Which I guess is consistent with the rest of the video. Wait, is this a segregate entertainment racially video? I'm losing it. Because there was a person earlier who was like, this movie was great because it was for Asian people and there was nothing for white people. Now we have someone going, if you're not black, you could never understand a black person's feelings. What conclusion are we coming towards? Because there was also the guy who said, you got to represent cultures because that's someone's entire understanding from playing a video game and having someone of that culture, which is sickening. Don't absorb that knowledge from a video game, but still.
You know, so many ways to be a queer woman, and that's not something that you see a lot of in media right now, is that kind of like
How old is this video? Sorry, you don't see a lot of queer women in media? When is this? Sorry, I'm confused. Is this particular clip from like the 1950s? Perhaps the 1800s? What are you talking about?
Diversity within the identity.
There's diversity within the Latinx community, and I feel like showing
Latinx community? X-Men isn't real. There aren't like Mexicans with superpowers. What is Latinx?
the struggles for each character will show the diversity. You'll understand.
Yo, you want to know some fucking insane diversity? If the struggles are absolutely bespoke to that particular individual character. That's insane. People aren't ready for that level of diversity. Also, I'm gonna be straight up. I thought it was Latinx. Are people out here actually saying Latinx? There's no way. It's Latinx? That sounds like a fucking chemical that when injected into you turned you Guatemalan. What do you mean Latinx? You will soon be injected with Latinx. What the fuck?
Better like why each character acts a certain way within that Latinx community.
You have to first start with what country? Were they born there? When did they leave, if they left? How they were raised? What that was like, and that's where I would start to create a character.
Or you can have a story and then fit the characters to that story to serve it. Of course.
Because that experience, that's gonna affect their life.
Yeah, guess what? Doing that is boring as fuck, and it's why all the story games are really, really, really boring. Because, damn, it's just like a Spanish person telling me about their daily life. No offense, Igran.
Like, heavily.
Do not use identity as a shortcut for morality. What is this? Oh, Black Tina. It doesn't say Blackteria. Black Tina. Okay. Oh, is that Black and Latina? What are they gonna say?
We're not the hero, we're always the villain.
There are.
I couldn't tell what he was saying. The quality's real low.
Normally we're not the hero, we're always the villain.
Black people are normally not the hero, they're always the villain. What's an example of a black villain? Mace Windu? Mace Windu isn't a bad guy. Darth Vader is voiced by a black man. Thanos. Killmonger? I don't think we can use Killmonger in a movie where the hero is also black. I think that cancels out based on his point. It's weird having this come up after praising Miles Morales, who's massive and is an example of a black hero. Candyman. I think I watched original Candyman, one of the movies, when I was very, very, very young. Is Candyman even actually a villain? I thought my vaguest memory of Candyman is that he gives shit to people who deserve it.
There are Afro-Latinas that, like, if they're light-skinned, I feel like their roles are a lot different from the dark-skinned ones.
No! This clip is gonna be totally fucking different. I was gonna say give us an example. I was gonna say name some. Why did the fucking Lion King pop up? Why did the Lion King pop up?
Even in animation, like the fact that Scar was darker than Mufasa.
I'm fucking dumbfounded. There is a connection between good things being like heavenly white, bright, evil things being dark and black. I don't think Scar being a darker color is a racial thing. I don't think it's a racial thing. My memory as well of Scar is that he's posh. Scar Lion King line. Let's hear just some random line.
You see, I shall never be king.
I cannot see Scar being like racially coded as Latin and being evil because he's brown. I'm not buying the racial analysis of this.
If they're family, why couldn't they all have been the same shade? But, you know.
Their family, why couldn't they have all have been the same shade? I'm going to say that to an actual brown family where they're not exactly the same color and see what happens.
The darker was the evil and things like that.
I found my daddy with panther claws in his chest.
I feel like a good movie.
Sorry, wait. Was that commentary meant to apply to Killmonger? Is he saying what? We're really talking shades of grey, or rather, shades of brown here. Are they going for like Killmonger's skin's a bit darker, and that's why he's cast as the bad guy?
With the bad guy, you see why the bad guy became bad, and you see their backstory. So it's not really much like good versus bad, but like how they are given that role.
As long as like the villain is just like a villain because he himself as a person is a villain, and it's not because of his identity that he's portrayed as a villain.
How high are you? What?
As long as like the villain is just like a villain because he himself as a person is a villain, and it's not because of his identity that he's portrayed as a villain.
Okay. I think all he's saying is, it's cool as long as you're not going, he's black so he's evil. If you're not literally going, black people evil, he's black so he's evil, it's fine. I think that's what he's saying. Fine, okay, whatever.
What good representation means is really just that like queer characters can be anything. They can be the hero, they can be the villain, they can be whatever. You start getting into a problem when it's like the queerness itself being villainized.
For instance, do you have an example? Are there a bunch of games where it's like, ah no, my arch enemy Gaydar has come, he's gonna hit us all with the gay beam because he's gay? What's an example? What are you teaching people to stop doing that's being done? Also, that would be sick as shit. Please put that in a game. I would play as that character.
I would feel so much better if when I see a character and he's speaking and he says something that's like specific to my culture because he's from there, I would be oh my god, like that's great.
Right. That's called Family Guy humor. Or Family Guy reference. You want your culture to be fed back to you in cutaway meme form, essentially. If you're upfront about it, you know what? Fine. That's fucking cringe and shit. But as long as you're not going to say, it's morally necessary, we have to do this. Let's say someone's Jamaican and they're like, ah, that's a patty. We eat patties. Damn. If that's what people want, fair enough. Like what you like, what you want. But
we feel closer to each other when we hear the language, but when we hear it spoken correctly, it kind of, the closeness is even stronger.
Closeness to who? A character in a video game? They're not talking about real life, they're talking about closeness. Does she mean closeness as in accuracy, or like actually feels like close to them, feels feelings for them? Let me hear that again.
We feel closer to each other when
we feel closer to each other.
we hear the language, but when we hear it spoken correctly, it kind of, the closeness is even stronger.
I like that this could be used as a statement about not empathizing with people who speak broken English. Imagine if I was like, this guy, he's cool, he's my friend. He's my friend because I hear him speak my language. But I'd be closer if he could speak it properly.
Puerto Ricans speak Spanish language differently than a Dominican, a Mexican, and
okay.
so on. So that's how you can determine what's a true Puerto Rican person.
Is it there's literally no Puerto Rican who speaks differently at all? That's pretty red-pilled. Yes, true chat. That is pretty red-pilled. I think you could fairly criticize the authenticity of a setting. If a setting was like in Puerto Rico and everyone spoke a way that very few people would speak, you could criticize the authenticity of the setting. If you have a Puerto Rican character who speaks in a way that isn't common for them to pronounce the language or particular words, that's not a problem. in terms of authenticity, because I'm sure there probably is a real person who speaks like that, if we're talking about individual person. When you talk about setting, I think it gets more valid.
We're happy to hear someone talking Spanish, Puerto Rican Spanish, and we're like, oh, are you Puerto Rican? Where are you from? Oh yeah, I grew up there, and like, that's who we are, you know, we like to.
The true enemy of diversity and inclusion is people who have speech impediments, by the way.
Find each other.
What a fucking incredibly offensive... If I was an Asian guy and I worked here and I was with all my colleagues and this sentence popped up on screen, I would go home and kill myself. They talk about sensitivity and then they do this. I don't get how you can't understand how genuinely, incredibly hurtful this could be to someone.
Media depictions have been...
And bear in mind, okay, as much as I say, look, think about this in terms of impact. As much as I say off-color or edgy things, so on and so forth, it's in the context of a streamer who anyone coming here for any amount of time will be aware that I have a particular style and that I can be rough and whatnot, right? When it's an employer who's presenting themselves as sensitive and they're always doing the proper thing and the correct thing, and then they make you feel safe, oh, we care about you, and then it's them dumping that on you, that's a million times fucking worse.
Sort of very emasculating.
Portrayal of Asian men, they like don't make the guy seem like a sexy guy or just like some.
Holy fuck, you're just roasting. All these Asian men are just little sissy bitch boys. Oh,
who's attractive,
what are you
and
doing?
has attractive qualities.
Just kind of like that, like funny Asian dude in that movie who has an accent, who's kind of like goofy looking or like nerdy looking, you know?
Fuck you, bitch! What the fuck?
Visually, I think it's an exceptional job done with the way his hair is structured, skin tone.
Yeah, crazy. Static electricity.
His English, not like what he was saying, but the accent sounded very white.
He does not sound like he's from New York. And I'm like, is he hiding his accent?
I'm being called out right now. I'm being called out right now. Hey! Want to know what someone from New York sounds like? They sound like this. I'm from New York. Impossible, right? Everyone from New York sounds exactly the same.
Is he trying to be different? Que guapo.
Mom, stop.
Like when he was like, mom, like he'd be like, mom.
Yeah, if they're young black people and this is based in Brooklyn, I expect them to use some.
To be clear, it is fair to be critical of authenticity, given that he's supposed to have grown up there or whatever. However, it is not true that everyone in a particular area will have that exact accent, especially in the social media dominated demographic of younger people. There are people with accents from other countries because of their demented consumption of social media. There are people who do mold how they talk because they think it sounds better or they're self-conscious. That is a real thing. Like I was saying before, for one person to sound a particular way that doesn't gel with what you generally expect from the area is not necessarily an authenticity issue. If overall in the setting, if it was set in Brooklyn and it was meant to feel like real Brooklyn and everyone had I was going to say everyone had a Chinese accent, maybe that would be fine. If everyone had an Australian accent, the setting would be fucked. But for one character, even the main character, to be off, that's not necessarily an authenticity problem, I think. American and British accents spreading over the net is a big thing, yes.
Some sort of urban slang or ebonics.
Dude, as soon as they said prep school, anything, nothing's gonna surprise me. Because they'd be different. Like, prep school people are a little different.
Okay.
Looking good.
So it is fine, because you went to prep school, okay?
He would be code switching. Code switching is basically like you just talk different to different people, essentially, what will make your life easier.
I don't
That's one example, but it can also be within a single conversation to a single individual. And it can be a tonal shift, or it could even be a language shift. Yeah, that is something people do. What is she going to say about it?
See, like, African American culture through him. He just looks like a preppy black boy.
Okay, why does he have? Is it wrong for him to not be an avatar of the exact average of African American culture?
Outfit where you wearing the headphones, got a bubble jacket and stuff like that. It's a lot closer than the uniform, gray sweater type of thing.
Closer to what? He doesn't have jumper jeans? What do you mean? What a bizarre commentary. A lot of this stuff I will disagree with, but I understand how they come to that conclusion or why they think that, or I can see consistency in it even if I disagree fundamentally. What the fuck is this?
Mijo, can you clear the table?
Yes, ma'am.
Gracias.
I think that was really cool, like that clip, how they transitioned back and forth, how the mother specifically transitioned back and forth between Spanish and English, and then how he grasped what she said. He didn't speak.
If that's cool to you, you have a fucking boring ass life, dog. I envy you. You're gonna have so much excitement ahead of you.
Back to her in Spanish, but he still responded and he knew what she was saying.
Really? Your campaign manager on Christmas Eve?
I might respond depending on what was being said or asked, but most of the times I respond back in English.
People are losing their homes left and right to these cabrones. That's why I'm running for office.
It's good because it's like me. Me good. Thing on screen be like me. Thing on screen be good. Me good. Me good.
The word, esos cabrones, I use that word every day. So that sounded right. It was Spanglish, but it was right on cue.
The mother wasn't using mijo right in a sense because it feels like the mother's overusing it.
Thanks for getting the apartment ready, mijo.
Right, but why can't that be what the character does? Why can't that be a quirk of the character even?
Because this is our home, mijo. Mijo.
The way the character said the word mijo, I think it sounded more Mexican. Puerto Ricans will say, ay mijo, just like that. But Mexican will do more emphasis on the following consonant, mijo. So that.
I feel like in the past, in a video game magazine, this would be like a fun fact or commentary. Isn't it interesting that they say it this way? Here it's presented as like something that is morally wrong with this video game.
Sound, that's the difference right there. So that's why I thought it was Mexican.
It's your home, not mine.
Well, after he said, it's your home, not mine, I would think that she would have said something after that.
She was almost like...
Is that relevant to the topic of identity though, and inclusivity? That's like a general drama critique or opinion. Is he saying based on their races she would say something rather?
Seeking his approval. And Puerto Rican mothers, they even if they want your approval, they're not gonna act like they want your approval.
Black Tina, that's called a stereotype. You're asking for stereotypes. That's what you're asking for here.
This feels like authentic to me, like the way that she's dressed, even the way that she's kind of like carrying herself, like tomboy femme, I think is like what we would call her. Yeah, and that's because like with the boots, yeah, she's like not super femme, not super butch. And I guess that's part of
authentic. I want to see if we can tell if it's authenticity or just I like this.
Like what feels real about it to me. It's not like somebody is like, you know, trying to come up with like a very like extreme version of like what a lesbian might look like.
It was weird when she touched his knee like that.
Yeah, it was weird. I'll tell you what, I haven't even played the game, I don't know the context. It is fucking weird when someone dislocates their wrist to put their hand on your leg. When someone just casually breaks their arm to get close to you, it is kind of crazy.
It was weird when she touched his knee like that. So in my head, I was thinking, you know, she was attracted to woman, but After this scene, I'm thinking maybe she is bisexual.
If she is gay, then...
People be thinking this. This happens in people's heads. Micro, we're on Twitch. I appreciate that you said it with an A, with a soft A. But we're on Twitch, okay? Are we really going too gay, not gay enough? I need the gay meter to be perfectly tuned.
Let's like lean off of how much chemistry they have. But if she's bi, like, you know, go with it, but like be sure to show how she actually is queer.
If she is bi, go with it. Now you're using idpol, I think, to be like, I wanted to see them fuck. I wanted to see them fuck. Right? That's what we're hearing. We're hearing inclusivity as a justification. Let me say this. I'm not saying, no, you can't say I just want to see them fuck. Or whatever they want to see. You can just say, I really want to see this. I think you can, like, you don't need some social, moral reason. You don't need to appeal to inclusivity. You can just be like, I think this would be good. You can just be like, that would be to my taste for that to occur. And I think it would be to a lot of people's taste for that to occur. You can just do that. You're allowed. It's fine.
To be young again. Am I right?
This character is kind of like how it's always been done for Asian males. Like, they're not the attractive one. They don't own their masculinity or whatever.
Justin Wong destroyed.
The high-pitched voice, I think it's a stereotype. And going back to that issue with Asian American masculinity.
So she's critiquing a stereotype, but all the other people interviewed here are like, please, please, more stereotypes, more stereotypes.
I think it's also a stereotype that nerds have glasses, especially.
It's a stereotype that nerds have glasses. Glasses are part of the nerd stereotype. Yes. Nerd is a stereotype. She's talking about stereotyping a stereotype. Am I insane? I'm a nerd, okay? Wait, I'm a geek. Nerd is the bad one, geek is the good one. But I'm not really a geek because I'm not good with technology. I guess I'm more of a nerd.
Especially Asian American kids. That right away strikes me as stereotypical and inauthentic because
Stereotypical may be. Inauthentic? Inauthentic. I guarantee you there is a person who is exactly like this man. I guarantee you.
See plenty of nerds on campus without glasses. So.
Sure, but guess what? If you see even one nerd on campus with glasses, that doesn't mean it's inauthentic. Sorry, just to be clear now that that bit's over. Her critique of that character is that she thinks it's inauthentic portrayal on the basis that he has glasses. It might not be her fault, but it's bizarre that that's part of her critique at all. The apartment, okay.
I am a little surprised that it took this long for us to know that Puerto Rican was the Hispanic background.
There's no flag, no ornaments, no.
There's no flag. Guys, what if I told you I don't have an American flag up in Lucky Bee's house? What if I told you that I'm inauthentic? I am an inauthentic representation of an American because I don't have a flag up.
Decorations that would be perceived as having a Latino essence in the apartment.
Perceived as having a Latino essence? I don't have like a fucking Smith & Wesson revolver on the wall. I don't have a rebel flag either. I don't have a bald eagle in the house because I'm American. What else don't I have? I eat food that isn't, you know, burger or pizza or hot dog. I'm under 120 kilograms. Suggesting this seems absurd. As a US expat who doesn't have things all over the home I'm living in that would give away them American, I suppose that could be a thing all Puerto Ricans do. I don't always have New York cheesecake out in the kitchen because I'm from New York. I haven't dug a Jew tunnel under the house because I'm from New York.
Every single house has these things. Like, it's like if she's living with her grandma or her mom, you're gonna see freaking plastic on the couch.
More plants. I only see 1 and 2.
You're arguing. So we have part of the people being interviewed arguing for stereotypical representation, and then we have some other people arguing against stereotypical representation. Is this meant to be like argumentative rather than a cohesive presentation?
Normally, like here, you can have something hanging, like a little coquille frog. I think every abuela back in the.
Little what frog? A little coquille frog?
Normally, like here, you can have something hanging, like a little coquille frog. I think every abuela.
A little cucky frog? Is that a hookah? What is that next to the toilet?
The little kid, like.
Is this Vosh's bathroom? You would not catch me showing that many little specks of trash on the ground in a video of my bathroom.
Then has some of those. The little kid, like with the drawers on his feet. Something that represents that someone drinks coffee in that house, like a cafetera or the bustelo, visible.
Or if they just don't drink coffee. You can, as a Puerto Rican, not drink coffee. That's real and allowed.
Bustelo on the side. There's not enough food on the table.
Not gonna mention. I guess the T-pose. The T-pose is authentic.
In a typical Puerto Rican household, there would usually be pernil, potato salad, a lettuce and tomato salad, arroz and gandules.
At any given moment?
You know, rice and chickpeas, a ham.
This could be a white.
I do not believe that Puerto Ricans in New York never eat anything but that kind of stuff, or always have that food included. And it's always just on the table. I refuse to believe that. That is not real. That is not true. This is not correct. This is not real.
I've walked into white guys' rooms that look like this.
We need a new game on Newgrounds. It's a picture of a bedroom, and you have to guess the race of the person that sleeps in it.
There's nothing Spanish in his room that I could identify as Spanish.
It's all about the trinkets or a flag, something draped that represents Puerto Rico. Just something small.
I don't have an American flag by my bedside. Is that like a major thing Puerto Ricans do? They have like a little flag? I guarantee not 100% do it. This is weird. Is this them being American? Like if they were going to talk about French representation, is this like an American understanding of culture where they'd be like, he's supposed to be French, where's his beret? When you swing around from building to building, why doesn't he have a baguette under his arm?
This would be an actual person. I don't think it would just be some random black guy with afro.
Right, but do you mean like a celebrity? I feel like it's possible there'd be an issue with picking a celebrity, an identifiable person, like licensing issues. I don't know. That feels less like a culturalization thing. I've totally seen bedrooms with outlines of random people on the walls, though. Why isn't George Floyd on this wall? Well, ladies and gentlemen, what did I learn? If I told you what I think I learned, I'd be banned. Let's leave it at that.